Welcome to my channel. My name is Barbara. This is Barbara Talks. I will be talking about the dark side of all the signs today, but just because, you have this sign, I know people are attached to the sign that they have doesn't mean that this is going to be you. It's a plane of duality at the end of the day. It's just how the sign can express itself when it's in the dark version of itself or the shadow of the energy. And plus, in a natal chart, there's so many things to look at, so sometimes the energy might not be expressed in this way. You guys can see what signs you guys resonate with most in your chart. Sometimes people have a dominant energy. Some people are sometimes, let's say, Scorpio dominant, or some people are sometimes, let's say, Aries dominant, or, Libra dominant. You know what I mean? So it can be sun, moon, rising, but it's like you do still have a dominant energy at the end of the day, so that's probably what's going to resonate with you most. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Taurus in the shadow, and this is what's interesting with Taurus too, what a lot of people don't notice or talk about. Taurus in the shadow can also be very angry, okay? Because they can bounce off of their polarity of Scorpio, okay? They can also be very aggressive, and they can also have like explosive anger as well. That's something that a lot of people don't talk about with Taurus, because most of the time people think Taurus is chill and they're laid back, and most of the time they are. But keep in mind, their oppositional energy is Scorpio, and Scorpio has a stinger. So Taurus can also go into that extreme energy of Scorpio. So that's kind of how the energies work. Like when they go into the shadow, you can kind of pull from the other sign as well. So that's one thing that happens with Taurus. Sometimes they can be also very angry, very like intense, okay, when it comes to their anger. And it kind of is like unexpected with the Taurus energy, I find. Because again, everyone thinks Taurus is chill, and like they kind of go under the radar. I think a lot of people think of like Aries as angry. They think of like Scorpio too, because like, Pluto, Mars for Scorpio, and then like Mars for Aries. But again, Taurus kind of pulls from that Scorpio energy. So they can be intense when they're angry, okay? The Taurus energy, they can kind of also run their mouths, because again, they can pull from the Scorpionic energy. Scorpio has a stinger. So that's something that can happen with the Taurus energy. Now, Taurus also in the shadow can be petty when it comes to money. They can overindulge. They can really live life through the senses. So the five senses, they can like love to eat food. So they can go into like overeating. They can go into sexual pleasures as well. The Taurus energy too, like anything that feels good, they might overindulge. They can overspend, for example. Sometimes Taurus might flex. For example, you can kind of go into one of the extreme versions of the energy, okay? So either they might like make a lot of money, but be petty with it and like stingy and like not spend the money, okay, when Taurus is in the shadow. Or sometimes Taurus can also be like overspending, because they're kind of trying to show off like a lifestyle, or they have all these things, but they haven't made the money, for example. So they can, let's say, struggle with budgeting, right? Because Taurus is all about money at the end of the day, and it's personal finances. So they're meant to master money. They're kind of meant to come somewhere in the middle where they do make the money, and it's the amount that they're looking for to have those experiences and to enjoy all these things, but not overindulged to the point where it's like they're kind of flexing, but they don't actually have the funds to support it. So that's something that they're mastering. If you have Taurus energy in your chart, really learning about finances, investments, and all these things. And also Taurus is about personal values as well. So there could always be something going on with self-esteem too. So how much money you make is always contingent upon how much you value yourself. The two things are connected together, and also it's connected to feminine energy within, because it deals with the receiving energy, money, okay? And money is an energy. So that's the thing with Taurus energy, depends, right? Because again, if you have Taurus in your chart, or a lot of Taurus in your chart, you're basically meant to master money in this lifetime. So you might go through any of these extreme shadows, for example, or like the dark side of the energy. We're spending, overindulging, flexing, and you might even go into like, let's say if we really look at it, you might go even into extreme materialism, okay? It depends, because there's so much going on in a natal chart as well to see what else could balance out the energies, but we're just looking at the sign overall. And they can also be very petty too. Like for example, when they get things and like they work for them, they might, let's say, not want to share. So it's like they can be very possessive. I guess that's the word that I'm looking for. Like they can be possessive over things in terms of like, I bought that thing, or like you didn't ask me if you could borrow it. Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of something that they're also trying to balance deep down within. It can also be possessive when it comes to people. So that's the thing with Taurus, because it's like for Taurus, there can really be like an objectification, not just of objects, being possessive over objects, but they can also be possessive over literally people, to the point where it's like they view people as objects in a way. I hope that makes sense. It's a different type of possessiveness compared to, let's say, Scorpio's possessiveness. When people talk about like investing, right? Whether it's you're investing in like actual investments in money, or you're investing into, let's say, a relationship and a person, that's kind of how like Taurus has that perception. Consciously, I don't think they're consciously thinking this, but they can be very possessive. Taurus can absolutely be possessive, but in the sense where it's like they might feel like they actually own the person or people or their friends, and so on and so forth. And again, find that Taurus flies under the radar. Like people don't really talk about Taurus in this sense. Like they kind of have like the chill reputation. But again, all the signs have a light side and a dark side. Another thing that I want to mention for Taurus as well is also they can be very stubborn. So with Taurus, they can kind of operate with blinders on. So when they kind of decide how they're going to do something, it's really hard to budge them. And because it's a fixed sign and they're fixed earth, they're going to be hard to kind of get them to change their schedules, for example, which then like if you have a hard time changing your schedule, it's going to be hard for you to allow new energies to come in, or like, let's say, meet new people or have new experiences. For example, if you're like fixed when it comes to your schedule. If you're trying to switch up the vibes, you're trying to switch up the energy, you want to switch up, let's say, the schedule or the routine. It's a ripple effect. Taurus struggles with that because it's fixed. And then they're also fixed in terms of their goals. So it's good because it's like they're slow and steady wins the race. So they will get to their goals, but sometimes maybe someone might have a suggestion, to get somewhere faster, but they're not going to listen. It's when they've decided, right, the blinders are on and they're not really going to take suggestions. So it's basically this with the Taurus energy.